Today on Into the Ring, Out of the Box,
We're about to get extreme,
today we're looking at the human suplex machine, Tazz.
so stay tuned.
Hey, this is Matthew.
And this is Vinny, the wrestling figure historian.
Welcome to Into the Ring, Out of the Box, Extreme Edition. So we're looking at some ECW toys.
Yeah, buddy.
We're going way back in time, because we're not looking at the Jack-specific EC Dubs. We're not looking at anything Mattel's done EC Dubs. We're going old school.
With the original San Francisco Toymakers ECW figures.
That's right. So, OSFT, they have a history of doing some wrestling toys.
Yeah, prior to ECW, they had the license for WCW, and they made some of the worst figures I've possibly ever seen.
Those were some of the most hideous abominations to toys ever. Between the vibrators and just the toy line in general, they never got better. It's a miracle that someone went with them again to make toys.
Well, at the time, I think ECW had no choice.
They just wanted toys, but you know what?
Which is funny. It's an adult product trying to sell it to kids.
Yeah.
I think that was one possible bad business decision.
It was the 90s. But at the very least, we can say that these ECW figures are way better than the WCW ones.
Yes.
Yeah, and the one we're looking at today is definitely one of the better ones. This one's I think we both had as kids.
Yep, I did not have this particular one, my collection. I had a very small collection of ECW figures.
Same here. So this video series is also not just us reviewing it, but getting our collection together again and finishing it for once, hopefully. So we're going to start things off here with Tazz. And this is the box for the very first series, as well as a later series for the old San Francisco Toymakers line. Pretty bland.
Pretty simple, which is to be expected for the first wave of figures.
But they totally stood out in toy shelves because of that bright red and yellow. They really did pop on the shelf.
That it did, because I believe at that time, the Bone Crunchers were already done.
Titantron just began, basically.
And that's when things got darker for the WWE too. At this point, Toy Biz was already making the WCW figures. They were using more of a dark. So yeah, for the ECW ones, they were the brightest ones, ironically.
Yeah, go figure. And a look at the back of the packaging shows us who else in this line, as well as a picture of the ECW ring, which I never had as a kid. Always wanted it, never bought it. Back in the day, that was a $25 ring.
Yeah.
Now it's like $250.
Yeah, good luck finding it.
Yeah, exactly.
And essentially, it was a remake of the old WCW ring, which absolutely sucked.
Yeah, and this thing basically still looks just as terrible. Yeah. The only difference for me is that it had ladders and the tables.
Ladders and the tables, because even the WCW ring had a crappy cage.
And it also had a really cool RVD and Sabu, but we'll get to them on another day. But yeah, again, just very, very basic. This is like, they hired some intern who was in high school who learned Photoshop in one of his tech classes to do this for him. So, yeah.
So we're done with the package. Now let's pop his bubble.
And open him up to the Extreme. It's my 90s Extreme thing.
Oh, boy.
This is how I got Extreme in the 90s. I was a sad, lonely child in the 90s.
Yeah.
Let's open up this toy, make me feel better.
Yep. Toys always make everybody feel better.
It's Tazz!
Damn right, it's Tazz.
So here he is out of the packaging. So we noticed a few things off the bat that were really interesting and that were really good, but also many, many things that were very bad. So Tazz is here in his classic black singlet. And you can see from the back side as well, it's just jet black. And he's got the belt on. I'm actually going to take the belt off just to show you a little detail that's not with Tazz. So around this time in ECW, Tazz actually did wear a straight black singlet. He was known for wearing the black singlet with sometimes an orange stripe in the back like Mr. Perfect would have.
Yeah.
But in '99, especially when this toy came out, he wasn't doing that as much necessarily.
No, he had the simple black singlet, which that's the look that's iconic to Tazz.
Yeah. But there is one detail that is absolutely missing that Tazz had in every singlet. That's basically covered up by his action feature. He would have had his name or something on the back of his...
Somewhere on the back, yes.
So that is not on this toy. And I would have actually liked to have had that orange stripe. That's my personal preference.
Because it was black and orange that was associated with Tazz. It was not just straight black, but even they do have a little bit of the orange with the boots, but it's more of a red.
Yeah, it's basically a red color. And his boots were not usually laced orange, I don't think.
No.
Sometimes they were different. They were like maybe white at rare occasions, but usually they were black.
Now, one interesting feature, which I don't think that you'd be able to pull off at all today.
No.
They have his Tasmanian devil tattoos.
Yeah, they got all of his tattoos actually on him, which is really impressive. And a lot of them, you cannot do this today.
No. Copyright laws would not even allow it. Yeah, no, they would sue him like it was an ECW fan throwing chairs into the ring for McFoley and Terry Funk.
Oh, yes, absolutely. ECW figures got away with so much, so we're going to see that as we look at all the other figures in the line. But yeah, Tazz has, like, to be fair, it's actually very great detail, like, with all these tattoos on him. But yeah, they got the Tasmanian Devil on his arm. I mean, that's nuts. No one can do that anymore.
And is that Magilla?
It's not Magilla Gorilla, but I don't think Magilla Gorilla had a club, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And he's got that really cool bulldog. But oddly enough, we have a misprinted figure here, because that is the tattoo in the right spot, but there it is partially again on front of his shin.
So that is definitely a paint botch.
Yeah, but it's a pretty cool paint botch, actually.
There's already one thing I hate about this.
What's that?
The face. Makes him look too happy-go-lucky. And that was not Tazz at this time.
You know, yeah, it's kind of a neutral face, but he does, you know, I would have preferred to be a little bit more angry. I think almost all of the first wave were pretty neutral faces.
Yeah, there was never really any, from what I remember, any, like, animation to the faces.
Like, Chris Candido had a more animated face. I think Shane Douglas did. We'll talk about them when we get to them, but most of them were very neutral, like this Tazz here, which we're seeing. And yeah, wouldn't have minded him to be grimacing a little bit more.
Yeah, because neutral Tazz isn't even Tazz to begin with.
No. But interestingly enough about this Tazz, the head we're seeing here is not the original proto head. And you can see it on the back of the box. If you take a look at that, his hair was going to be actually slightly different, and the face is a little bit different also. But the biggest difference was essentially that the hair was going to be, it's going to be a little more of a fade on the top, based on the original prototype. So that didn't make it to the final for whatever reason, maybe cost cutting, I don't know.
Cost cutting, less paint, maybe.
But yeah, that's basically, you know, a lot of these protos you'll see that you can actually see in the back of the box. They differ pretty decently from what was actually made in many of these cases. But Tazz isn't that terrible of one, at least.
No, it's pretty decent figure. They do have his body shape pretty accurate because he was a short, stocky wrestler. But now let's get to the interesting part. Let's talk its action feature, which his action feature was the pivot punch. To the action features, this was harkening towards the tail end of the original San Francisco Toymakers run with WCW, that they started putting these action features. So it could be, these do look like recycled versions for the most part.
Yeah, but I think some of those, if I'm remembering too, they had that on the back. Some of them, their arms actually move up and down. It was like they were doing the robot dance. It was kind of terrible.
With Tazz is a simple pivot punch. As you could tell, there is a spot for you to put your thumb into in the back and position his arms however you want. Hold him by his legs. Ooh, that was not a good snap.
That's stiff out the box, folks.
Yep, and just rotate him.
It looks pretty good. I mean, it actually works. It will make the figure loose very quickly. Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
Because these figures were not meant to last, sadly.
No.
I remember as a kid, dude, these things got scratched so quick. These cannot handle much battle damage. Tattoos will rub off in days.
No, these were definitely not meant for the long haul.
No. But I will say about the pivot punch, you know, they gave it to him not because he used a pivot punch or whatever that much. Well, I mean, yeah, but what it does to work for him is that he can do his suplexes because of how his arms are positioned.
His suplexes, and actually back to the pivot punches, he did used to mount and club his opponents from behind.
That's true. And his legs actually are wide enough to almost do that, but not really, because most of the other ECW figs are also pretty wide too. Yeah. But he actually can do suplex, and I'll show you guys that in a moment or two. But let's take a look at his accessories.
Yes, because actually every ECW figure did get accessories.
So let's go ahead and start with the chair. This chair.
Yeah, I had that as a kid. I remember, I think I got it with like a Just Incredible. Yeah, Just Incredible. And I absolutely hated it.
You know, I always had mixed opinions on this as a kid. And despite not even having that many ECW figures, I got a ton of these by the time I was done.
Yeah, because this was one of the common ones.
It really was. Which is kind of nice also, because that is a good thing about the ECW figures, is they all had accessories. Mm-hmm. That was a great big plus.
Well, you have to figure it's ECW. ECW is synonymous with weapons.
Exactly, you got it. But these chairs, I mean, you know, in my figure fed, these were actually the hard chairs.
Oh, God.
Because look at how thick this thing is. Like, who would sit on this thing? So to me, this is like the hard chair, because look at the size of that cushion. That's not a cushion to me. No. That was just like a death slab. You just go bam on your people, and I mean, yeah, like let's just check this out in action too. I mean, listen to this noise.
Yeah,
and I would do that. I mean, it'd be so great. You could like play with these in a different way you couldn't really with other chairs.
Now the funny part is, why would you even give that to Tazz? He can't even hold it.
He actually kind of sort of can. It doesn't look good, but he actually kind of sort of can hold it like this. that's usually what I would do with a lot of these toys is I'd have them like overhead. Kind of do it, and then he'd just go like, bam, he'd knock you down with it.
Yeah.
So it does take some finagling, but it's possible. But it looks goofy.
Yeah, it definitely is goofy. And also to come with Tazz, we have the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, if I'm not mistaken with this line, this was the only way you could get a belt, was to get it with Tazz.
Tazz, at this point, was the only way to get that championship, and same thing with Rob Van Dam. He came with the TV title. That was the only way to get that belt as well.
But did he come with the TV title originally, or was it down in a re-release?
No, in Series 1 as well. We wouldn't see this belt again until basically towards the end of the line, when Mike Awesome would come with it.
Yeah. Now, from what we've seen with Mike Awesome's, there was a lot more detail compared to this belt.
Yeah, this belt, I loved it as a kid, and I still love it now. So there is a lot of good detail and sculpting in the belt, but the paint job is terrible. And that's not because of age, because I can attest to owning these belts as a kid, it looked just like this. In fact, mine might have been worse. They just were not made well.
Yeah, no, even when they had the WCW belts, they were not so great.
Oddly enough, these are an improvement over the paint on the WCW belts. Far improvement. But they actually do fit around almost all the guys' waists, and if you show them the back, you can see how they fit together. It's with those nice little, tabs, you want to call it, little slot and tab.
Little notches.
Yeah.
Which was akin to most belts made during that time. The only figures I've known to have like the actual buckles is Mattel's.
Toy Biz actually did it first their TNA line. Yeah, Toy Biz actually the first ones to do it. And then basically Mattel followed soon after because they realized it's actually way better than these slots.
Yeah. And actually more longevities for these belts.
Exactly, yeah.
Because what eventually happens is the little holders eventually snap off.
Yeah, if you're not careful, they will easily fall off.
Yeah.
So other than that, I really like this Tazz a lot, but you can see again, it is not the greatest figure in many ways.
No.
We're talking two-tone paint across the board, and that's not just age. Because you can see the head and arms are one color, the body's a different color entirely. It's a cheaply made figure, and to be fair, these were actually cheap too. They were a cheap alternative back in the day in Toys R Us and other stores.
Yeah, because I believe these figures are like $9.
I had a price tag on one of the original ones that was $4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these were cheap to get, but then again, this is now the first wave, and this was towards already the end of the life of ECW as well.
Yeah.
Maybe had ECW stayed a little bit longer, we could have seen more quality with these figures.
I think the sculpts are getting a little bit better towards the end also.
Yeah.
Definitely, some of them looked way better actually, like Sandman and Mike Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
A few others got better, but this first wave, it did the job. They looked fine. You could tell who they were, but they weren't great.
No, with this first wave, they were like, let's get these out. Let's try to get to the market now.
Now, what's also interesting to note about this Tazz is when this toy came out. So around the same time is when its first Titantron Live series came out, and I believe Tazz was part of that first line. Mm-hmm. So when Titantron Tazz came out, this Tazz was out at the same time. I bought both.
Because at that point, WWE was already trying to get everything out as fast as possible. With storylines, ECW was like, we have these figures, we still gotta sell them.
And to be quite honest, this is not the only figure to have that dilemma, because a bunch of other guys who were in ECW jumped over around the same time. So there were simultaneous toys of different guys or companies.
I guess the Wild West days of the big three in terms of the promotions.
It really was. And that, I'm sure, definitely helped ECW sell toys.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this would also not be the only deco for Tazz. Tazz had another paint app, which we both had also.
The purple Tazz, if I'm not mistaken, which was in the very last line.
Yeah.
Which was when he was way gone from ECW.
Absolutely, but they still had the molds. Somehow they still had the rights, because it was a different time, and that was a pretty bad Tazz. I mean, it's basically the same Tazz, just different color singlet, and it had his name on the front. So they basically corrected what was missing on this one, but they put it on the front instead of the back, and then just big, hideous block letters.
Yeah, and
which were gold.
Last I checked, Tazz never was in purple.
No, and never ever. He would only wear black, and occasionally he had, for a brief time, he actually had a black and orange outfit that was had shorts as well on the singlet. That was about mid-90s.
Yeah, that was like when he was forming into Tazz from the Tazmaniac.
Yeah, exactly. He was kind of more of an MMA gimmick at that point.
Yeah.
He would never ever wear purple anyway. Who are we kidding? He wouldn't know purple.
No.
So why don't we go ahead now and try out this pivot punch / suplex feature and show you guys how that works.
All right.
And why don't we go ahead and use Lance Storm, who we have not reviewed yet, but guess what? We'll be doing him very soon.
Time for a pivot punch. Again, it's also this figure is super stiff.
It is stiff.
Now, with this, you can already tell the scale of the figures that Tazz is a little bit shorter, so they did kind of get the scaling right.
Yeah, it's a little bit shorter.
For a pivot punch, Not
the best.
Not the best.
But to be fair, I never used that pivot punch. I always went right to suplexes, and that's what he could do well.
And it's Tazz.
Exactly.
Come on. So I'll give you the honor of doing the first suplex.
Well, let's go for a classic overhead belly-to-belly Tazzplex.
Not so much of a pivoting suplex.
We go for a German. Poor Lance Storm just hanging on the ropes trying to get out of the ring.
Not gonna happen. Why?
T-bone Tazzplex.
Or really, an exploder suplex.
They got to finish off Lance Storm with the Tazz mission now, which you can more or less do.
Yes, you can.
On almost everybody, in fact. But yeah, he can basically do the Tazz mission on people, which I always loved as well.
Yeah, because that's still... There you go.
Yeah, he can do it. He can do the Tazz mission Plex if he wants to.
That looks pretty awesome to do a Tazz mission.
I was going to leave that as is, in fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love this Tazz. Despite its flaws, I still am a big fan of it. It's one of my favorite ECW figures. But there's a lot more to look at.
Now that's our look at Tazz from the original San Francisco Toymakers. And pretty much have to say it's for first attempt, not that bad. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this Tazz. But we got plenty more extreme guys to look at very soon. So on that note, I am Matthew.
And I'm Vinny, the wrestling figure historian.
Stay tuned next time for another episode of Into the Ring, Out of the Box, because things are going to keep getting extreme.
Take it to the extreme.
Tazz mission Plex! Because Jim Ross now in ECW, I don't know. It works.
Yeah. Imagine if he was the commentator.
That'd be weird.
But it might have worked.